Hit it, Sam.
Yes.
Welcome to the Think Tank. Each day we share the news in open dialogue and discuss how it might affect the business world. We speak with different leaders on crisis management and navigation, as well as experts in professional and personal self-betterment. It's meant to be a break in some learning and sharing of good news and ideas to start people moving forward. It's called the Think Tank. Today, and for every day, it seems like, our top left corner, all the way from Richardson, Texas, is Robbie Sawyer. He is a global thinker and global sales officer with Thinker Society, helping people get to their better ideas faster. Our top right corner is Alberto Elizondo, sports photographer and pigeon photographer extraordinaire from his high-rise downtown. Thank you for joining, Alberto. Kimball Anderson from his high-rise uptown is a content and creative producer helping people focus their strategy and message on stage when addressing the general public. He keeps you looking and sounding good. Doug Carroll, advisor, coach, advisor to boards and CEOs around the world, helping them during their times of crisis and chaos, put together a strategic plan and move forward, which is very apropos for what we're doing. And finally, Dr. Paulus, psychologist, fellow, a student, a professor, a general good guy and person who understands what is creativity and what makes people think better probably than any of us here. So we always appreciate his insight as to what's going on. At this point, let's see what's happening on YouTube. We have a couple people there. So if you would, if you have any questions, please comment and we'll include them. It is happy hour. Thank you for reminding us there, Alberto. Normally we're on at 2 p.m. every day, but today, oh, look, everyone, we're on at 4.
So Alberto, is that Modelo Especial?
It is.
Okay.
I think Dr. Paulus is out the McCallum there. I'm not sure what he's got there.
Oh, the McAllen.
Yeah.
Oops, you're muted.
He's muted up.
So. Don't shut the door.
So
very cheap wine.
Typically at this point, kind of start talking about the news and do a little bit of that. And then on Fridays, we kind of take a look back. We have some fun stuff to talk about from this week. So if anyone would like to lead off, I heard some interesting stuff today. I can, if no one has anything.
Actually, I have something interesting, Sammy.
Go for it.
I just got off a call with Paul Creighton. He's the entertainment talent agent for one of our clients. And he was on a webinar today with various industry, someone from production, someone from the actual road manager of an act. He was talking with various facility and all people around how these concerts are going to get back into business. And the interesting points that were brought up were there's going to be needed some additional time in setup and numbers. For instance, instead of a crew of 20, can it be done with a smaller crowd? That'll take time to set things up. Additionally, things like cleaning. Am I breaking up? No.
A little max headroom.
Yeah,
You're
sorry.
good now.
Must be
You're
my internet. But additional things like cleaning instruments. We have 3 nights of back-to-back groups using the same gear. Will there be a need for cleaning and products like
there is only a solution for that.
So what I'm saying is be prepared. We will want to introduce that idea for that October event. So, things to think about that, how do we re-engage at that level with all the new guidelines in place?
With safety and confidence.
Safety, security, cleanliness, confidence. Yeah.
I think the hotel presentation last time was quite compelling in terms of all the thoughtfulness about all the different ways to keep things going, but keep people safe. So I think it was very impressive how they're really thinking about all the different elements. and try to encourage people to go back and start functioning effectively in that industry.
Yeah, you know,
especially.
Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I was going to just say, especially from that brand and that company, Make Ready Experiences. Yeah, we're homers for them, obviously, but no, they truly approached it on a experiential level.
Yeah.
So how do you pass a bill back, or all those different things they weren't looking at it for function as much as they were experience, which that's a big plus. And that was Doug, a great response she had yesterday as to, so how are you different than everyone else out there? Well, they're all doing the block and tackle, and they're looking at how to make it a little bit more personal.
Yeah, and
right.
Doug, there's obviously a fine line between, well, Mr. Hotelier, Miss Hotelier, Mr. Airline, what are you doing to protect me? But there's the fine line, between that and also making the guest understand that they have a level of responsibility as well, right?
That's a challenge that has been going on for years in this kind of stuff, is to how do you draw the line, and where do you draw the line in terms of saying where can you say, I've met my fiduciary duty as an organization to keep the guests safe, and now they've got to play at least partway. They've got to come into the game with something. And what I'll tell you is that where we're at on this is, we won't know that until you've gone through the first 2 layers of lawsuits. And because that's what sets the bar on all of this, is you've got to get out there, you got to do your best work, and then there's going to be somebody that's going to sue somebody, and that'll set the benchmark as to where it is. Now, what's different here is, normally what you've looked at is where this has been easier to give you an example is, if you've got an amusement park, what's the level of safety on a thrill ride, right? A guest can't unbuckle their seatbelt and jump up and down at Six Flags, right? But a guest did that and then sued Six Flags. And
yeah,
so
you can't fix stupid,
Precisely. And it's interesting, kind of going back to what we were talking about too. So my wife, one of her cousins is married to a real live rock star. And he's had a global tour canceled, and they're trying to refigure out, he's enormous in Europe, and they're trying to figure out, how do I get the tour rebooked through almost every single country in Europe, back in the US, and then out into the Far East, because every single country has got, you were talking about, how do I do it for 3 shows with different artists in one place? He's got to move from country to country from night to night. And what are the different rules that he's got to follow as they roll their system out, or their show out across Europe? And it's a nightmare.
And to that point, Doug, what I'm wondering is, are the acts going to modify their riders with new stipulations that reflect these things that they're going to need? It's not just, yeah.
I can't imagine anything else happening, right?
Right.
Other than them saying, you've got to do these. I'm going to go back to the lawyers, right? You've got to do it. Even if they don't do it, you've got to stipulate it in your rider, so you're protecting yourself as the act. And then if there's liability, the liability falls on the venue.
That's right. And just one last thing, Alberto. One of the things there is the meet and greet, which you're going to hate. Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
We're talking the other day. We're just talking about basically saying that they're going to have the merch table, and the meet and greet will be a portable plexiglass bank doodah, right? That you'll come in, and then as soon as the show starts, the roadies are going to go, and they're going to build essentially a little plastic tank for the artists to be in, and then there'll be another tank where the merch table will be.
Good grief! What a mess.
Yeah, I said to Sam yesterday, it's not good, huh, Alberto? I said to Sam yesterday, talking about the whole plexiglass thing. The Adolphus posted something on their Instagram story, positive stuff, getting ready to reopen. And, for those of you that have been in that lobby since they renovated that hotel, that incredibly gorgeous, super historical lobby, and the front desk now has plexiglass.
Oh.
So, I mean, but what are you going to do? What else can you do? It's like, it's what you have to do. And it takes away from so much of, the experience of that. And then, real quick, I told the boys before everybody else got on yesterday, talking about the Alita, Amanda was talking about she'll go to bed, and the occupancy or projected arrivals will be, whatever, and then wake up the next morning and it's significantly higher. Tonight, they're tracking 25% occupancy, and tomorrow night, 26% occupancy.
That's fantastic.
That's good.
And it's at a, quality ADRs. It's not like they're on, Expedia or hotels.com trying to buy business from whomever might be driving by. So
it'd be really interesting to know what the demographic of that population would be. I'd be fascinated to know, what the breakdown is between business and leisure and local and out of town.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly. I think she indicated yesterday that there's only a few business travelers, but the rest is, leisure. And as you know, Doug, that's from predominantly just a lot of the drive market, I would imagine at this point, whether they're local or from Georgia or, wherever, somewhere close by.
I saw an article on the news service Quartz, and they were talking about the recovery of the the travel industry. And I will try to pull that out and send it to Sam to send it out to everybody. But one of the things that was interesting is that they had made a statement. They thought that a significant percentage of what the first wave of bookings will be people that just want to get out of their house. They may not go very far, but they just want to get out of the quarantine of their house. And so they may even just go do a staycation at a local hotel with a local restaurant to have an experience like that. I thought that was interesting and potentially at least good news for short-term cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, we're not going out of town, but we got the boys occupied tonight. So Christine and I are going to go hit a couple patios.
Cool.
Not going to, just to get out there a little bit and try to support in any way that we can. She's leaving. She's actually going to Savannah on Wednesday. Going to go for 5 or 6 nights and just be part of the, the crew that gets out there. And I think a lot of leaders could do the same thing, roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and let the staff
fly on Frontier and buy the extra seat.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing there. She's probably I would have. She's going to Savannah. I think she has to fly American, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes.
Did you read that the virus came mostly from New York? Like 85% of the transmission.
Yeah, I read that.
All over the place came from New York City. Yeah.
I have lunch every day with Mayor Cuomo. He's on the screen, but anyway, I listened to his news report or press briefing. But it's been interesting, Kimball, to watch every day how his production gets just raised a little level higher, a little. Yeah, but and none of the other mayors or governors have done that. But it was a race for a while with the president to see who could have more flags up and seals and all that kind of stuff. So that race is still happening. And now he's got really killer PowerPoint and he's following that. But he was talking about some interesting things today with me about how the curve is flattening. But what's interesting is the deaths are not. The deaths are still, they're going the opposite way. But then he said, we need to start being not reactive, but proactive and looking at what has happened and how that can affect the future. So some of these magical quotes that he's now has up on the screen is when the next thing happens, they need to consider it. It's not, China has an epidemic going on. It's the whole world because we're all connected like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he got his data, but basically he started doing a timeline. And so here's the first infections in China. And then we quickly said no one from China can come in. But meanwhile, Europe was left open and New York is the first part. So they say that everything went to Europe and went to Italy or whatever. And then they have, in that time that was left open, they had 3 million people come through Newark on the way through. And that's where they
Europe came into New York.
Tracked it through. Yeah. And then
Right.
from New York to everywhere else.
But the other interesting thing he
So-
noted was the confinement issue, that most of the people in New York who got sick were stuck at home, right? Or stuck in nursing homes. So, which kind of gives you the clue. It's meatpacking plants, nursing homes, cruise ships. It's being confined with people. That's the issue. Being out in the open, maybe not so much, right? I mean, I'm not sure that's a valid conclusion, but I'm wondering how much that's relevant.
Wasn't it 60%, Dr. Paulus? Didn't they say 60% of the deaths were related to people that were actually in isolation
Yes.
at home, wherever that might be?
Yes. So the worries about people being out in parks and so on may be a little bit overdone. How about stadiums, open air stadiums? Maybe less of a concern. You do want a distance, but maybe something about being confined, like the cruise ship thing was interesting. That right away, that was the place where the problems were, right? And so I think we've discovered something else about it, which is kind of intriguing.
I saw Silver Sea posted, here's all of our babies or our beauties all docked, and they're all in Tenerife. And they're just sitting there, just waiting for
Anything.
Here we go again, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there.
Yeah.
All your events are going to have to be outside now, right? Everybody, just have your events out.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we were talking about on the phone today was moving out of the ballroom and just saying, let's make this outdoor concerts. Yeah. People would feel more comfortable in that environment.
But Kimball, back
And Donna,
to the plexiglass thing, in hockey games.
Yeah.
When I usually have a spot where I could put my camera through and shoot.
To avoid reflection. Yeah.
You can take care of that for me, but
the parties.
Yes, we'll need to have that built. Uh-huh.
like at a hockey game.
Well, that was interesting before it got really, really severe, or we had shelter in place, and we were still looking at doing that big program in Hawaii. The client said, "Look, we're not going to do the business meeting. We're just going to have general receptions, and people can mingle around outside, and we're going to do our dinners out on the lawn and really spread it out." So she was already thinking that.
Okay. Yeah.
Before we started going, yeah.
That might be a reality.
So I think that is the answer.
I think Hawaii
I
is
think
the top notch. The top destination.
Well, I think I was having this discussion with some of my bacteria guys, but there's 3 parts that causes all of this to happen. And one is you got to have obviously the bacteria or the virus. The other is you got to have a host, whether it's a surface or whatever, then you have to have the person who can get contaminated. So if you can knock out 1 or 2 of those, it's going to stop that. And it's also going to make people feel more confident and secure. So obviously everyone's kind of heard a little bit. We're working on how to take care of the facilities and knock all that out there. But as soon as they figure out a way to test people easily and tell whether people are carriers and be able to identify that right away, if you tell me that everyone in here is not a carrier or contagious and that the place is safe, I don't need to wear a mask. I feel fine walking around in here. You're back to normal. But when will that all happen? That's the key.
Well, and you're also going to have to go through, there's a lot of smart people that are going through completely rethinking the delivery model and the profit model to say, if I've got a business that involves this kind of thing, what can I do to change? If I have to have in today's delivery model, I have to have 75 or 80% throughput to be able to be profitable. How do I shift my costs so I can get to 50% throughput and still be profitable? So
that's what Christine's doing.
A lot of thinking going on into how do I shift what I'm doing or how I'm doing it? You're going to have people who do, I mean, McDonald's is a great example, right? In Europe, McDonald's is already rolling out essentially people-less restaurants, where there's no counters, there's no workers. You go up to a kiosk, you put it in, and a tray comes out on a conveyor belt with your number. And you can have fewer people that are nowhere near the customer. The customer can distance by themselves, and everything is different. And the profit levels are per customer higher. And are there going to be things like that?
I was talking to my buddy in Paris today, and he said that McDonald's has gone as far as they're not putting any vegetables or anything in their burgers. It's like meat, cheese, and bun.
Yeah.
And because they don't want anyone touching anything, and they don't want stuff coming in, so that's all it is. And no one said, "Hey, no." They just said, "Okay, that's what it is."
And so it's going to be interesting. We've talked with Dr. Paulus and said, what's going to be the new cultural acceptance levels? As you change things, how are we going to, as people, accept these new changes, and what are we going to either see or accelerate that, I think of the difference in Japanese, the Japanese vending machines and quality at convenience stores, right? I mean, food at a convenience store in Japan is actually unbelievably good.
Really good, yeah.
Right? It's all done in a sealed, sterile kitchen somewhere, and then brought out, and you've got these vending machines in convenience stores. I did a lot of work with 7-Eleven when they first got bought by the Japanese. And how could we bring that to the 7-Elevens here? From the dark kitchens and everything else. And are we going to see that become a standard where there's less interaction? It's going to be fun to watch.
Will that be the same?
Honestly, I think the more.
Go ahead,
Dr. Wallace.
Now, if we have vaccines and effective drugs, will that change, or we will just still be cautious because you never? So our caution will carry on even when we have the vaccine and the appropriate kind of drugs that can help us. I wonder. Well, to some extent,
there's people doing math on that equation right now.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the crazy thing. There's people doing math. There's all kinds of models and this that's been a topic of discussion for Christine and I often. It's like, okay, there's a lot of time, energy, and effort that's being put into creating the infrastructure and the environment to make people feel safe, make the environment as clean as it can be, for now, based on what we're dealing with right now. But for her, on some of these design calls, and I think I asked her at one point, what are you guys doing from a structural standpoint, from a experience standpoint, for some of these new build properties that you're working on right now based on COVID-19? And she's like, we're not doing anything. She's like, at the end of the day, as she said yesterday, and again, this is just them, but there's a lot of companies out there like them. I'm not so much worried about McDonald's, quite frankly, because the experience that I get, from a customer service standpoint, it's not going to be the end of the world if I don't get to interact with somebody from McDonald's. Right. I realize the impact from an economic standpoint, from a job standpoint, all of that, but the reality behind, if there is a vaccine, Dr. Paulus, and if we, do have the ability, like the flu shot and, whatever else, to circumvent the potential, spread of that during the particular season, then I'm not at the point where I want to believe that this is the new normal moving forward. I realize precautions have to be taken, and talking about some of the stuff we've talked about with Sam, just from a sanitation standpoint, I see that helping and that being something that we all need to focus on moving forward. But man, I just can't see a world. I don't want to live in a world where I wear a mask every day for everything that I do.
I don't think you're going to. And I think I've been trying to put the story together. But I think the interesting thing is, 3 months ago, if I told you you're going to be looking at the postman walking up here with a box, right? And you're going to be worried about where that box was or what contaminants are on it, you would have thought I was crazy.
I do that now.
No,
don't
you
worry
do that
about it.
now. No, but what I'm saying is we haven't had that thought in our head for 100 years until now. And
Yeah,
so
no,
I'm
you're
not
right.
saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying it's a different level of awareness that I think will carry on. That doesn't mean I'm going to wear a mask forever. It's
Yeah.
just something I now think about and go, hey, am I protected or covered from that? I am. Okay, good. Then I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've put tables in our garages to go open our Amazon packages in the last 3 months, whereas 3 months ago we just walked into our house and opened up the Amazon package.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Dr. Polish, you asked a couple weeks ago, what's going to happen to the handshake? What's going to happen to, you go to South America and, you're going to get kissed on both sides of the cheek. And, I really don't want, nobody does, but I just don't want to, I don't believe that, that's the world we're going to live in a year from now. But I mean, I could be wrong.
And then there's the sun, right? The sun. My wife now puts the stuff in the sun because the sun is supposed to be really
UV
effective.
rays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sammy, I got to jump off. Thanks, guys. I got to get on another call, but it's good to see you. See you Monday.
Doug, what's the deal with vitamin D?
Unproven science.
Just like everything else.
Yeah. I mean, you're right now, you've reached, you haven't reached the peak. You're beginning to see the public curve of, snake oil, where there's, literally because, there hasn't been, people have said, well, we believe that the government will figure it out and they'll get it to be a virus, or they'll get it to be a vaccine. Well, we haven't seen it. So now you're seeing vitamin D, you're seeing different combinations of vitamins and minerals. You're seeing people say avocados can cure it. It's all snake oil because none of it has any, real backing in it. It's just like saying that, this drug, did it, this drug will do it, that drug will do it. It's grasping at straws for a quick fix. Period, end of sentence.
Yeah, it's like ketchup causes cancer, right?
Yep.
Does?
Yeah.
I hope if it does, I would have been dead a long time ago.
Me too. Butter's good for you. Butter's bad for you. Bacon's good for you. I'm gonna eat bacon anyway.
Yeah, aspirin. What is it? Small aspirin are supposed to. Now they're saying small aspirin's not supposed to impact. Wasn't small aspirin supposed to help with heart disease or something?
Yeah.
Heart attacks. Yeah.
And now they're saying Advil could make coronavirus worse.
And I'm only going to be here for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, me too.
Egg whites versus the core, right? I mean, yeah, right.
And the part of the problem is it goes back to they still don't understand the coronavirus and they don't have enough data on it. So when you go look at what's happening is someone will have a small sample that says these people did this and then this happened, right? And that small sample size then gets out into the internet and it says Advil made coronavirus worse because I had 3 people in one hospital that were taking Advil and died. And then that becomes, a story. And there's
all
nothing.
Anyone listens to is the headline of the article. That's all they read.
Yeah. By the way, Sam.
Yeah.
Points for the outstanding shout out to Max Headroom.
Yeah, thank you. And that was fun busting Kimball on that because he hates not having perfect production.
Well, he needs to talk to the people that run that shack he lives in and see if they can work on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So
right.
You guys all are technology level. Did you see like 3 weeks ago the headline that went screaming through for about 2 days was the coronavirus was going to kill 5G rollout.
Yeah.
And it was like, huh?
Or it was caused because of 5G.
Oh, then there was the thing about that it was caused by 5G, which great. And cell phones in the 90s were giving you cancer of the brain,
And Bill Gates put it in everybody so he could then charge for the cure.
Yep.
Yeah, because he has a patent for it, right?
Yeah.
No.
It was interesting today to Robbie and I did a Zoom call with a bunch of event professionals just to see. I don't know. I dare say, but I guess we're more pros now because we do it every day. But to see others that perhaps don't do it as much, how they weren't really utilizing it to its fullest or addressing it like others do, and it was interesting to see. So in that world, I don't think you could challenge them that this is a great way to do this going forward, because it wasn't a great way. But
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out.
Yeah, but it was an interesting exercise, because at the end of the day, we talked about the fact that, we can't wait in terms of just thinkers and what we do. We can't wait until it's okay to do a meeting for 30 or 40 or 200 people in a hotel ballroom. We have to begin to move forward. If you ever in a million years thought that it was important for you to be, creative and have the ability to have and create the culture to make people feel comfortable about presenting ideas that may be a little bit different, I mean, now's the time that you have to embrace that. And in order to do that, people have to feel comfortable doing so. But for us, at least from a thinker's perspective, for now, we have to be able to try to do that from, in an environment like this. But
and 2 points on that, Robbie, that was interesting. So we offered a guided ideation like this via virtual, or if you guys want, come down to the studio, which I felt for sure that was going to be a no take, but they immediately jumped on that, because you can't have that interaction like you need. So even if you have to sit 7 feet apart or do all that kind of mess, that was open for discussion. And the other interesting thing, and thank you all for participating in this, is that, as we keep doing these, we keep learning these things and things get reinforced.
I've been there, but we can get
you have to go to Savannah and spend 3 or 4 days and get in the trenches.
I love that, Sam.
No, seriously.
That's a really great example.
No, it is. And that's who Christine is. And so they are lucky they have that genuine and authentic and empathetic leader who's not looking at not only the data points and the business proposition, but the people and how it'll affect them.
Well, I mean, gosh, I'm old, right? But we used to call this a long time ago. We used to call it leading from the front.
Right.
If your executives never left their deep carpeted office, then they don't know what's going on. But if your executives are leading from the front, they're actually out there in the mud, the blood, and the beer. You kind of sit there and go, and I don't mean that they take an occasional trip where the helicopter drops them for 30 minutes. But if they're out there, like you said, I think Christine's trip is a perfect example. It's not necessarily, we haven't gotten perfect. It's not necessarily say, but I'm going. That's leadership.
Yeah, and then, when all this went down, there was a prominent, I won't bring up the hotel company, but a prominent hotel company leader that, for whatever reason, felt like they publicized that they were going to take a 50% pay cut, which took them down to $7 million a year. I mean, that tends to go on deaf ears,
Yeah.
has the opposite effect and, tone deaf.
That's interesting. When I became dean, everyone expected people to come to your office, all the chairs, all the people. I said, no, I want to go to your place because I see your people. I want to see your staff, say hello to them, the low echelon staff, your faculty, run into them. So I said, I want to meet you in your place rather than you come to my place.
Yep.
It was wonderful for developing rapport.
That's brilliant, Dr. Paul. That you see a lot of that. One of the things you do in hospitals successfully is we put the CEOs on what we call rounding. And so just like, you've got doctors take rounds in the hospital, we put the executives on rounds where they were going and talking to the people in their environment instead of having some meeting in an auditorium where they sit on a stage. It helps if the CEO is a doctor.
I heard an interesting thing. So some of the people that were on yesterday via YouTube are event organizers, and one of their people left them to go work with a local company on one of these trips. We did this amazing trip to New Zealand. So she now is a resident in New Zealand, working in the travel industry, which doesn't exist right now. But the premier or whatever, I'm not sure what the title is. Is it the president of New Zealand or whatever? They are now floating, if not have already passed, that they are locking down their country for any visitors coming in till the end of 2021.
I saw something about that. But that leader in New Zealand's been crazy. She's been really out front of this thing.
Yeah, but I also read somewhere that while yes, it's great that and it was cool that she addressed the country and, in her sweatshirt and said, "Hey, I can only have a second. I gotta go put my child to bed," or whatever. But evidently her when she's up for re-election, evidently she's not as polished in other areas from a leadership standpoint, economical specifically. But it'll be interesting to see. I went back, and I don't know who brought it up, and I went back and watched some of those YouTube videos of her, and it was pretty cool for her to be laid back and get ahead of it, and made herself seem like she was one of everyone else in the country, and that probably goes a long way with them.
Until you try to fix it.
But again, small country, right? I mean, easily. I mean, not easily, but she's got her own issues to deal with. But a lot easier to control the outbreak in New Zealand than it would be in Manhattan, for sure.
Well, that's an interesting thing too, because Hawaii is a great petri dish for trying things. So whenever they're bringing out, and Doug can probably speak to this, new tech or new cell or whatever, they go over and do it in Hawaii because it's a very controlled population that you can control the in and out. So look what's happening there, but that's a microcosm of what you could spread and do elsewhere as well.
Yep. Hey, so I've got a question for all you production people. Okay. You were talking about the thinkers thing and trying to do your guided ideations. So I didn't get to read enough about it, but I saw that they were trying to reopen a major motion picture, and they had been doing, they were planning on doing the shoot at the Pinewood Studios in London. Isn't that the big one? And it's not open, but there was a couple of small studios in Germany and another small studio somewhere else. And what they were talking about was saying they were trying to figure out if they could go to these smaller sound stages, do bits and pieces of it, and then collaborate and go back and try to create the same sense of scene as they would have in a huge set. And, I thought it was kind of an innovative idea. And I just, and I don't know enough about that stuff, but I wondered, is that something like what you guys could do? Could you do an iterative ideation in 3 or 4 locations, on Zoom or something, where you have small groups instead of bringing everybody together?
Yeah, we were talking with a couple event or travel companies that run events for big groups, and now their trips aren't going to happen, but they still need to get everyone together. And again, everyone can get a free Zoom account and go do that, but what you have to look at is who's going to technically run it, and make you look right, have a good signal and sound right, and address the camera and do all those things. So I think we're, it took us a week to figure out, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to keep moving forward. I think we're kind of coming out of that now. So if this is what we're kind of be doing now going forward, how can we put that together? The interesting thing, as we all heard and saw and are seeing, is that yes, this has become the medium for people to exchange and collaborate and talk. And so with that, people are starting to look at, how do I make my camera better or my background better?
Right.
And you cannot buy any piece of auxiliary equipment to make that happen. It's all on back order till July across the board.
Yep.
And even if you could get it, it's 5, 6, 7 times as much as what it was.
Yep.
So.
Well, maybe that, sometimes people's cameras break, Sam.
Sometimes.
It's hard, tough to get a new one.
I couldn't find mine on my laptop.
I know.
Anyone got any big plans for the weekend?
Mother's Day.
Robbie,
Don't forget Mother's Day.
Boy, I almost did, but I was reminded today, fortunately, by the one who must take care of that. But hey, Robbie, I am interested if when you see Bill or if you've talking to Bill. So I think it opened up or it's getting ready to open up for salons and spas. I'd be really interested to maybe do a follow up with him like we did with Amanda yesterday. As
Oh
to,
yeah.
okay, you're back open. Are people ready to start having other people put their hands on them and do all that stuff and what that looks like?
Narita,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're technically open, but she had one day where her clientele she had 47 requests for a facial in one day when they found out that she had done some.
Well, my wife's hairdresser is a good friend. So he's thinking about going back and starting, but he's older. So we're like, man, you shouldn't probably do that. And then even, do you want to come over to the house and do it?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I just think everyone's putting a big pause and thinking about it for the first time. You never would have thought about that prior.
Our neighborhood barbershop, I think, opened today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Christine said to me earlier, she's like, hey, I think I'm going to go get my nails done tomorrow. Sam and I know Kama Carter, who's the director of conference services out at Deloitte University. So Kama's a girl at her place in Coppell. I guess they're allowed to let one person, they can do one person at a time at her particular salon. So you go and get your nails done, and then, I guess they can have somebody, you can have somebody with you, but the slots were going pretty quickly. So she's going to get her nails done tomorrow. I said, be careful. They might be a little jumpy and they might not be as good as they normally would. And Sam, I just text Bill to see when they were going to open. So.
And I thought I saw that there were places that they were trying to get them to say, okay, if you're a hair salon, because your quarters are so tight anyway, you're going to have to keep anybody that isn't in the chair outside the building and give them like the restaurant little, the buzzer.
Yeah.
And so you're waiting for a haircut. You can't even go in the place until your chair opens.
I saw, and I don't know if this is a local, like a micro thing that's happening in my 10 blocks, or if this is nationwide, citywide, worldwide, but this photographer, listen to this, Alberto, is taking family portraits of people on the front steps of their house or in front of their front door, stays 12 feet away, she isn't asking to get paid. She's asking that you make a donation to a local charity. And then she's posting up on Facebook. And I thought that was great. And the pictures are amazing, but what a great way to stay in touch and in contact with people. And it's instant advertising for them and everyone else. And then she has a sign up online, and it's just completely sold out. Everyone, not sold out because she doesn't charge, but it's completely filled out. So I thought that was really cool.
That'd be cool to do for graduations too.
That's been on now for a while. It's been,
it has?
Yeah, this a few months. So that's pretty much all the neighborhood portrait photographers are doing that.
That's what they're doing, yeah. Yeah, so you get a 15-minute window for your shoot, which I love seeing that, Alberto, because how much time do you mess around going, okay, let's move over here. No, let's go here. Get the kid to stop picking his nose and come over here. But no, it's 15 minutes, so get it and we're done.
Yeah. I went and did my mom and dad.
You did?
Yeah. I went and did there and my sister. And but that was, it's a really good idea. But they've been doing it for a while. A bunch of neighborhood photographers have been doing it. It's a great idea.
Yeah, with that telephoto you've got in that camera sitting there, you can do that from your apartment. You can take people in Waco from that apartment.
I can see over the Mercantile building. I just take pictures of people, in their bathing suits and changing.
Oh, bathing suits.
That's too much information, man. You're letting the cat out of the bag. Literally.
Well, it is the happy hour, right? So.
Yeah, for that.
There
Look, see, yeah, there you go.
Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
There's my victim.
Look at apartment 18C over there.
Yeah. Can you share a few pictures with us?
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. Hey, real quick before we go, I hope this guy's listening. I'm sure he is. I've just never been a huge fan, but did you guys hear the Del Hansen Unplugged? Yeah,
No.
so of course, he had to jump at the chance to talk about the salon owner that was obviously released from jail, and that if she or her salon, or she and her salon, were in South Dallas, then she would have never been able to get out of jail. So I just wish Dale would. I mean, listen, I don't know if that's right, wrong, or whatever, but for Dale to go unplugged, he's got to listen. He's got to. I guess he's got to talk about that. Did you see that, Alberto?
No, but I like his stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Apparently people donated a lot of money to her cause, right? A couple $100,000?
Really?
Yeah.
GoFundMe page or something like that. Yeah, I forget what it was, but she close to 300,000 at one time.
Well, on
Really?
that note, Thinker Society
Wow.
is going to stay open in the lab no matter what. So take me to jail, and then I'll start a GoFundMe.
Don't break
Hey,
any,
everyone.
don't break any laws.
You got a better chance of doing that than you got a PPP loan.
Yeah.
Hey, do we have
All
anybody
right, guys.
on the books next week?
Not
To work
as
on
of
that.
yet. No, not as of yet. So if anyone has anyone of interest, it's funny how we just keep having kind of random people pop up and start talking. Yeah, it was interesting when I was talking with the Honda Travel folks. So they did end up canceling every program through the end of the year. That happened this week. And instead, what they're doing is, instead of incentivizing their salespeople or their finance people or their parts people with a trip, they're just giving them a check to help them out with the offset of the sales they're not having in the stores. And I thought that was a great way to kind of approach that and just kind of re-rack for 2021.
Although everything we've always learned from an incentive standpoint is that cash is the absolute worst incentive that you can give. That you can give. But I guess it's better than nothing at this point.
It's better than getting a no commission check. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. Have a great weekend, and we'll check in. We'll check in on Monday. Stay home, stay safe, and take care of Mama on Sunday.